in macrobiotic theory, there's no good or bad. And that can be a difficult transition to make mentally for the Western mind. The Western mind is very dualistic. It likes its black and white. It likes its good and bad. But macrobiotics, because it's embracing both sides of this philosophical spectrum, it's trying to include all of duality, and there's no good without bad, and there's no bad without good. So just like any food in excess can become a poison, and certain medicines are actually poison but do good things for us, we need to accept everything. It's just where they fit on the spectrum.
And what I think the Three Sisters can create is this lovely, compassionate way to say, let's try this tradition and see how it feels. It's not so much about don't eat meat, but you start by saying, why don't we do this and see what happens? And then see if you even want the bird. Because this is very satisfying and it's cool, and the Native Americans did it, and you can, do a whole pageant thing. So I think it's the way we approach it, whether or not it'll change. I think there's compassionate activism, and then there's the activism that made people go, oh, just shut up. I don't want to do this anymore. And everybody knows those vegans.
But if you didn't have blood glucose, it would be like a car not having gasoline. It just couldn't work. And glucose is what your cells work on. So, to get the blood sugar into the cells, the body uses a hormone which is called insulin. And insulin is made here in the pancreas. The pancreas is like a remote control for your TV. It's about the size of a remote control. It makes insulin. The insulin goes in the blood to the cells, like the muscle cells of your arms or your legs. And that's where it then acts like a key to allow the sugar into the cell. Okay?
But as soon as you add salt to dairy, it becomes more yang. So, this is all, very good, whatever. If you look at the chemical makeup of these foods, these actually produce more of an opening or a weakening, have more of a weakening impact on the body. These foods will produce more hardening in the body. So if you look at certain diseases, you can look at the lens of yin and yang. You can look at anything through the lens of yin and yang. So in macrobiotics, we look at the human body and say, okay, there's an up and a down of the human body. There's a front and a back. There's an outside and an inside. So there's a bunch of different dualities. And a macrobiotic counselor will often look at the human body and see where your symptoms are, and that will give him or her a clue as to what is feeding those symptoms. I know that's all kind of trippy, but understand that a lot of this is connected to Chinese medicine. And we're looking at how the organs express themselves in the body as well. So these foods can create, like I said, hardening, like heart problems, tension, constriction. Blood pressure is about things getting too constricted.
Being able to utilize, absorb what we need, and then get rid of what we don't need. And number two, we need to have stable blood sugar, okay? The modern approach to treating blood sugar is simply to eat snacks all the time, right? Which, that's what a lot of people are doing now. We've become a snack society. We're snacking all the time, 5-6 times a day, or just eating around the clock. Which, to some degree will keep our blood sugar up, but it's really not the answer. It's not the big picture in really changing our blood sugar and helping the spleen, pancreas, stomach. Because what happens, it often leads to overeating. So, one of the results actually of hypoglycemia is very weak intestines, right? Just from eating all the time. Many people can imagine actually going 2 or 3 hours without eating. But the reality is that we can, and we should be able to do that. We shouldn't have to eat constantly, grazing all the time.
So Americans now eat more than 1 million chickens per hour. It's more than 10 billion per year. It's huge. It's gone up, 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 up. And we are in the worst shape collectively that we have ever been in. Chicken has not been our health food. Cheese, let me say a special word of condemnation for cheese. 100 years ago, your average American in a year's time consumed less than 4 pounds of cheese. Today, actually as of 2010, we're up to about 33 pounds per person.
A bunch of splintered bones. That's the image, okay? Did you know that countries that don't eat dairy don't have osteoporosis?
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yes.
That in fact, there is a direct correlation between dairy consumption and meat consumption, but especially dairy, and osteoporosis. They don't tell you that. Now, the way to get your minerals, the way to get not only calcium, but magnesium and potassium and every single mineral you want in your human body sea vegetables, and they're totally absorbable. Yes, there's calcium in dairy, but what they don't tell you is that the calcium binds with, I believe, phosphorus in the human gut. And because it's designed for cows, it's not designed for our body. We should, if we eat milk at all, have human milk. In fact, in People magazine this week, there was a whole article about these people making human milk cheese.
Did you read that?
See, and that grosses us out, correct? It should. But why doesn't cow's milk grow? I mean, next time you want to drink milk, go to a farm and slip yourself under a cow and suck on the udder. That's the genuine way of doing it. That's at least honest. So, our guts don't absorb the calcium. Yes, it's there. That's why you can't sue them when they say it's high in calcium. They're not lying to you. But you don't absorb it. It actually discharges more calcium than it gives you.